Hey guys, the time is here. Here is my top 10 favorite films of 2014. These are the 10 films I enjoyed throughout the 2014 film year the most. It is important to note before we start this list, though, that I didn't get around to seeing Whiplash or Selma. I know they're getting a ton of Oscar buzz right now, but unfortunately, I didn't quite was able to see those films around the time I filmed this video. So for those who were hoping about to hear my opinion on that, unfortunately, it did not join this list, the number 11 list, or the worst of the film year list. I hope they don't join those lists, but if I do get around to seeing those films, I obviously review those, and if I remember, obviously, I can let you know if those either one of those two films would have joined this list either way. But like I said, but with the exception of those two films, I didn't factor those ones in just because I didn't see those films around the time I filmed this video. But I am going to tell you the 10 films I enjoyed the most throughout the 2014 film year. These are films I actually did see within 2014 that I just absolutely loved. They are films that really represent me as a person and what I really like in film and what I look for when I critique a film and things like that. And these are just films that I just really enjoyed, and they met my expectations, and basically they were just absolutely fantastic experiences I had within the 2014 film year. And I'm here for you today to tell you what my top 10 favorite films were for those for the 2014 film year, just to make it less complicated. So we'll start at number 10, which for me was Big Eyes. Tim Burton hasn't made a really good film in a long time, but Big Eyes is definitely the film that I felt brought him back. I love Tim Burton. I think he's a terrific director. I thought he was just definitely in a creative rut for a while. And I felt like he kind of relied on Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter a little too much for his casting choices. But it was just great to see him do a film where he definitely just did everything differently for once. Different kind of film, different kind of approach, different kind of cast, different kind of story. I liked how he took on a subject matter that he's passionate about. He's quoted several times that Margaret Keane definitely inspired, several aspects of his illustration style whenever he draws stuff out for films and for storyboards for his film career and things like that. It really felt like a passion project. And it was great to see Tim Burton do something that he was passionate about, and it was different, and it was just really well done. Amy Adams and Christoph Waltz also gave very good performances in it too, and it really does show you kind of the dark side of claiming your self for someone else's artwork, and just how it can kind of eat that person up after a while, to the point where it's just like, look, this is my work, and I stand for this, and this is what I do, and this is who I am. And I really like how the film really shows just how art is, it's very much a self thing. It's a self passionate thing, and it really does show to the world, what we have a passion for and how we view the world and things like that. So uh, Big Eyes, just terrific film. It makes it in at number 10 on my list. The next film that made it at number 9 is Gone Girl by David Fincher. I loved Gone Girl. It's a very well done mystery and suspense thriller. It's one of those films where just when you think you're starting to get what's going on, it takes another twist, and it does it very well. It is definitely one of those movies where you're one spot in one place, and then you're in the next spot, the next place. One moment you like this person, the next person you hate this person, and it was really well done. David Fincher is still at the top of his games for mystery and suspense thriller films. The man knows how to direct a good mystery and suspense film, and Gone Girl definitely represents that. He knows how to handle dialogue, he knows how to handle suspense, he knows how to handle characters, he knows how to handle a good film tone. Uh, Fincher just knows how to make a terrific film. Gone Girl is no exception. He did a terrific job of this movie. I actually saw it twice in the theater because I loved it so much. So Gone Girl made it in at number 9. Definitely go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. At number 8, we have Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow was definitely a film where a lot of people really weren't expecting anything out of it. Doug Liman has made terrific films in the past, and even though he's still very good to this day, people weren't expecting much from this film just overall. A lot of people were worried that it's just going to be like an Oblivion 2, or just another film that we've seen millions of times before. Not the case with Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow was definitely Groundhog Day in the military, and it definitely worked very well. Definitely an original story that just really shows you, just how hard it would be to live out the same exact day where, everybody's going to die. And, that if you want to pursue a relationship with somebody, by the end of the day, it's not going to work anyway because we have, that, the day is going to repeat and things like that. It was definitely just a fun, repeating of the same day story that we haven't quite seen before. I liked how Doug Liman treated it like a difficult video game where we really want to see, the repeat. We want to know what happens next. We want to know how the Tom Cruise character plays it out for the next day, and we want to know how Emily Blunt can catch on to things in later days, and how she can catch on to Tom Cruise getting lazy with his mission and things like that. And just a really well done film. If you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, please do. Doug Liman has truly made a masterpiece here, and it's possibly one of his best films to date. Edge of Tomorrow, great film. It makes it at number 8. At number 7, we have The Equalizer, a very underlooked film. Denzel Washington delivers a terrific performance here. This film and The Book of Eli are probably my two favorite Denzel Washington films, and that's saying a lot because Denzel Washington has definitely impressed me on several occasions. He's made several films. He's acted very well in all those films. But Equalizer was just a terrific film. I loved how it captured the essence of the show and that it felt episodic at times in a good way. Just love the Robert McCall character, probably one of my favorite characters of the year for film. Just I loved how Denzel Washington portrayed this character. I like how he gave the bad guys a chance, gave them a chance to be good, and if they failed, obviously he would take action about it. Just a very well done film. It definitely, even though not the most original concept in the world, it took that whole Punisher story and it did something unique and interesting with it, even if it wasn't the most original story by the end of the day. But just a great film. If you haven't seen The Equalizer, please do. It made it in at number 7 for me. At number 6, we have the Lego Movie. I loved the Lego Movie. It was so creative. It was so original. It took the whole chosen one concept of a story and it just had a lot of fun with it. It definitely played with the fact that Legos are meant to be fun and creative, and that it's meant to be very personal with what you build with Legos. And I loved how they got the Justice League and Star Wars characters and um, Lego Shack and Lego Bart Simpson and Lego Millhouse from The Simpsons and all these, Lego Ninja Turtles and just all these things that you would never expect to see all in the same film. And Phil Lord and Chris Miller did a terrific job here. It was definitely robbed of Best Animated Feature for the Oscars. Just terrific film. If you haven't seen the Lego Movie, it's one of the best animated films of 2014. I absolutely loved it. Please check it out. At number 5, we have a film that revolutionized how people view film, and that's Boyhood. Richard Linklater, this is his Mona Lisa, to quote the Schmoes Know. It's just a really well done film about real life and how life is very tough but very rewarding, and how it can be very good, and how there's just several aspects of life that we're all going to go through, and how this boy goes through it. And it took him 12 years to make it, and all that hard work really showed. Just really well done Richard Linklater film that took him 12 years to make, and it definitely the effort did show here. Really, really well done film. I really hope it wins the Oscars because I know it does have quite a bit of nominations right now. Please see Boyhood. It really revolutionized how we view film. Rather than casting different people in this one character, they got this one boy for 12 years to play him over the course of 12 years, and it just really, really captured the essence of life. And I really think Richard Linklater captured that perfectly here. So Boyhood, huge thumbs up. It makes it at number 5 for me. At number 4, we have the Godzilla reboot. I love this film. Gareth Edwards was the perfect choice for this movie. We got Bryan Cranston, Aaron Taylor Johnson, we got Sally Hawkins, we got Ken Watanabe. We got just I love the cast of this film. I loved how they took its time. They made a good story. There was a reason for Godzilla to be there. There was a reason for another monster to be there, and how they could fight each other later in the film. It was just I couldn't have asked for a better Godzilla film. I just really love this film a lot. I really hope the sequel that comes out in a few years really does deliver again. Gareth Edwards really knows what he's doing with the kaiju genre. He knows how to make a giant monster story. He knows how to make interesting characters and an interesting storyline, and a monster that we really care about. We wanted to see him succeed with his goals as well, and it's just a really well done monster film. So if you haven't seen the Godzilla reboot, please do. I just love this film. It's just so terrifically well done. And it had some of the best visuals I've seen in 2014. And speaking of visuals, at number 3, we have Interstellar. Interstellar was one of my most anticipated films of 2014, and it did not disappoint me. Even though Interstellar I thought could have had a bigger adventure element, Christopher Nolan brought us into space. He made it big and epic. He had a huge cast that really did everything they could with this excellent material, and they really played with it in an interesting way. And they made us think about space, and they made us think about the universe that we live in, and how it's so big that we're not going to know every single answer about it because it is so big. It really just makes you think about, it really reminds you of those times too where you look up at the stars as a kid and you wonder what exactly is out there and if there's aliens, and what can we possibly discover in the future with space, and what are we going to do next with it, and where's NASA going to do with it next. And it just really makes you think about really interesting things. And it's just one of those films too where you can't help but you just want to revisit it several more times, and to really just see a lot of things that you probably didn't see the first time. And just really well done film. Christopher Nolan is easily one of the best filmmakers ever. I just love the man. He's one of my all-time favorite directors. Please see Interstellar. Huge thumbs up for me. I just loved how thought-provoking the movie was and how interesting it was, and it makes it at number 3 for me. So we're definitely in the meat of films that I enjoyed a lot in 2014. And at number 2, because Interstellar was great too, but it's not quite as great as this film or the film after this one, is Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, and it makes it at number 2, like I said. Just a really terrific film. I loved how they really, redeemed themselves from the first Captain America film. Even though it wasn't terrible, I really think they, definitely put this on the same line as the Avengers, where they just made it as epic as they could. They made Captain America very human. They made Black Widow human. They, made these characters fear certain things, and made them excel at certain things, and made them flawed. And I think it's just a great example of how to make a really good superhero movie, because they really delivered it here with this movie. So Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier makes it in at number 2. And at number 1, this is my favorite film of 2014, and definitely probably will make it to my top 100 favorite films of all time here pretty soon, when I update that. It's X-Men Days of Future Past. Bryan Singer, I've never been a huge fan of him, but he knocked it out of the park with this film. I seriously think he turned into Christopher Nolan after this movie. It's one of those things where, I had no respect for him before. I have complete respect for him now. I really hope Bryan Singer keeps making X-Men films at this rate, because if they're as good as Days of Future Past, this could be an incredible franchise. This could be an incredible achievement for Bryan Singer, really turn his life around and his career around. I loved the direction with Wolverine. I loved how it was emotional, and it reminded me of Terminator, but it was its own thing, and it did its own interesting thing with the time travel. And Peter Dinklage's character was interesting, and he had interesting reasonings behind certain things. And I love the character of Beast, and most importantly, I love the depiction of young Xavier by James McAvoy. He was completely robbed of an Oscar. Definitely the best performance I saw all year. I mean, there was one scene where him and his older self from the future, Patrick Stewart's Xavier talks, and he tells him, how everything's going to be okay, and how he inspires people, and how he really helps these people get through rough times, and he helps Wolverine find a life, and he helps people become better people. And it's just a very strong, well made, well written, well executed, brilliantly shot film that I think we should celebrate for the ages. I love X-Men Days of Future Past. It really is too bad that its only one and only nomination at the Oscars is for Best Visual Effects. And it's also too bad that more people don't have this near their top 3 and their top 10 list for 2014. I really think this is an achievement in cinema. It just was extremely well done, and I can't stop talking about it. It's just one of those films where I love it so much, I just can't stop talking about it. So it had every reason to be in my number 1 spot for 2014. I just love this film. So that's my top 10 list, you guys. Did you like my list? Did you not like my list? Is there things I could have added to it? What were your guys' top 10 lists? Feel free to add that down below on the comment section of this video. And be aware of my next video, which will be the top 5 worst films of 2014. These are films that I saw in 2014 that I was really hoping were going to be good, and they didn't quite end up being that way. So hope you guys enjoy my top 10 list. I'm sorry it's a little bit later than most people's, but I hope you enjoy my top 5 worst of the year list, which is coming up soon. So be on the look for that.